Welcome, everyone. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a case that really shook India to its core, becoming a major turning point for justice and women's rights. I'm talking about the Nirbhaya case, the Delhi gang rape of 2012. We're drawing on a detailed summary of what happened and, crucially, the aftermath.
That's right. It's a case that unfortunately many will remember. It started December 16th, 2012. A 23-year-old physiotherapy student, later known as Nirbhaya, which means fearless, was with a male friend.
And they were on a private bus, weren't they? Delhi.
Yes, a moving bus. And what happened next was just horrific. She was brutally gang raped, violently assaulted. Her friend was beaten severely too.
And then thrown from the bus.
Yeah.
Just thrown out. The details that emerged later, they really painted a grim picture, didn't they?
Incredibly grim. It showed the full extent of the sheer brutality involved. It really laid bare an urgent need for something to change.
And what's striking is how quickly this awful personal tragedy became this huge national rallying cry.
It really did. Nirbhaya suffered terrible internal injuries. 6 attackers, including one who was technically a juvenile at the time.
She fought for her life for nearly 2 weeks, right? 13 days.
13 days. They even flew her to Singapore for specialized treatment, hoping for a miracle. But tragically, she died on December 29th, 2012.
And that just ignited everything. Widespread public outrage.
Instantly. All across the country. It wasn't just grief, it was anger.
Yeah, and that anger, it spilled onto the streets, didn't it? Candle marches, protests, slogans. The media pressure was intense, too.
Absolutely. It wasn't just a protest, it felt like a demand. People weren't just asking for justice for Nirbhaya, they were demanding systemic change. So how did that pressure actually translate?
Well, that's the key point. That huge public outcry directly led the government to set up the Justice Verma Committee.
A really crucial step.
Yeah, and its specific job was to recommend major changes to India's rape laws.
And looking at the bigger picture, it really shows the power public anger can have, not just expressing frustration, but actually forcing legislative action. It pushed for addressing a deep systemic problem.
Definitely. And that pressure certainly fueled the legal action against the accused men.
It did, though the process itself took time. Of the 6 involved, the driver, Ram Singh, he died by suicide in jail quite early on.
Right. And the other 4 adults, Mukesh Singh, Vinay Sharma, Ban Gupta, Akshay Thakur.
They were handed the death sentence back in 2013, but then there were years of appeals, delays, a really complex legal process.
Over 7 years, wasn't it?
Yes, over 7 years. They were finally hanged on March 20, 2020.
And the minor.
He was treated under juvenile law, sent to a correctional facility for 3 years, the maximum possible under the law at that time.
So this case, it really stands as this stark example of how one event, however horrific, can push massive legal changes.
Absolutely, a catalyst. The direct result was the Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2013.
And that act brought in some significant changes.
It really did. It wasn't just about introducing the death penalty in certain rape cases, which it did. It also, importantly, broadened the actual legal definition of rape.
Okay, broaden the definition. What else?
It set up fast-track courts. The idea was to speed up these kinds of trials significantly, and it brought in stricter punishments for related offenses, things like acid attacks, stalking, voyeurism. It was quite comprehensive.
So Nirbhaya, her name, her struggle became this incredibly powerful symbol, way beyond just this one case. It represented justice, women's rights.
Exactly, a symbol of defiance, of fearlessness.
So thinking beyond the headlines and the legal changes, what does this all mean for us now? What are the lasting takeaways from this really painful chapter?
Well, it undeniably highlighted some urgent needs. Better policing, for one. Faster, more efficient courts and judicial processes.
And that's something deeper too, right?
Absolutely. Perhaps the most critical thing, a fundamental cultural shift in how women are viewed and treated in society. It forced a confrontation with systemic failures, yes, but also with deeply ingrained attitudes.
Yeah. It raised so many difficult questions.
It did. And it leaves us with a vital question today. Given all the changes spurred by this case, what more needs to happen? How do we ensure that the spirit of the Nirbhaya, that fearlessness, truly translates into lasting safety and genuine equality for everyone?